I hope you guys have started working on the SWOT for the pre-scene, right? Yes or no? If not, you can do over this week. I'll share one example after the class on the group. All right. So we have to do financials today, and before starting as a normal exercise, we need to just do an overview of the pre-scene. Any one of you, just 2 to 3 minutes, an overview of the pre-scene. Fahim, can you try?
No, actually, I'm in another place. I didn't have any
Okay, okay,
proper
okay.
things. Yeah, I
You're
joined
out,
for.
no problem.
Yeah,
Sweta,
sorry.
Sweta, can you hear me?
Yeah, Misbah.
You can give an overview.
Yeah, 1 second.
Just give in 2 to 3 minutes, not more than that.
1 minute.
What is the goal? And you can look in the pre-scene and do it. So you will be going in a ascending order
Yeah.
from first place to last. What is my role? Then industry, step by step. So it will be a good revision for everyone in the class. Then we'll come to financials. So in discussion, it will help.
Misbah, I'll be reaching in 5 minutes.
You're out.
Just.
Okay, no problem. All right. Zoheb, are you also out or are you comfortable to talk?
Yeah, but I have to stay on mute. Actually, I'm traveling.
Okay. Anyways, let me start. So that will save time. I'll only give it. Okay. So Saefwell is a company for a company. Okay, for a strategic case study exam for August. We'll start as a first person. So my name is Misbah. I'm working for Saefwell. My company is listed in Bar London Stock Exchange. We report according to IFRS, and my personal responsibility as a senior finance manager in finance function is to report the board directly, and my special work include reporting on special projects and strategic matters. My company provides range of services which includes from security guarding, consulting, enterprise risk management, and we also counter security threats, both physical and cyber. So basically, our industry is very diverse. We are one of the leader in the security industry. In fact, by revenue, we are second biggest with around 17 billion bar Indian dollars. Major service in our industry include on-site guarding, which is more of physical guarding to the client's property, which is usually businesses. We also do mobile guarding, that is like vehicle patrolling around the area. Then we have remote services. Remote services also growing in the industry, which is more of tech based or intelligence led services. Then there is a rise for corporate investigations. What is corporate investigation? It can be fraud investigation, it can be vetting potential appointees, background check, counter espionage, or any special projects that is done for the government, for the businesses, which is different from case to case basis. Risk management. Risk management services also we provide. So usually our services can be consulting, or we help them completely with the uh, complete support. Just give suggestions and advice, or sometimes we take the entire project in house. We also do security assessment to rate the security level, because the risk of anything will keep on fluctuating. So security assessment will give our client some idea what level of security they have. Do they need to invest more in that, or do they need to cut cost? Because sometimes what happens, companies are actually looking for cost cutting. So if they think like the current risk is going down, for example, now they think like they were employing, let's say in a facility, 10 security personnel. Now they'll say it's okay to have CCTV and some technology. Instead of 10, we'll have just 2 people, 3 people. So what they have done, they'll save the cost of 7 employees, right? So cost saving thing also. But at the same time, opposite can happen. They have to invest in security. Training is one of the growing business of security companies. We need to provide training to our own employees, and we also have to provide to our clients. And in terms of revenue, as we discussed, we are number 2 with 17 billion. There's a massive difference if you see compared to the first one and the second one. Where if you see second to third with Bruto, we don't have that much difference. Maybe one of the reason that the other companies are not taking very risky projects like us. For example, if you're getting projects from government, business to government, B2G, this might include if there's a war going on and anything which can affect the society, which is maybe inhuman at times, or people's belief, can be anything controversial, or as simple as being very risky for our employees. Maybe there is a risk of losing their life, therefore we are not taking that. Maybe one of the reason. And what is physical security services? We have discussed. I mean, it's very basic. Then intelligence-led service is something which is growing. It's more of getting the data. Uh, Here, the work is mostly done behind the scenes, we can say. Now, our company Saefwell, we started in 1920, so it's almost 104 years now, right? And we are operating around 74 countries, right? If you see the industry, we'll be doing industry analysis also going forward. Most of the companies who are dominating in this industry are international companies. In certain industry, you will see it's easier to grow in one country but difficult to go international. But I feel in this industry, if we grow in one country, it's easier to grow in other countries. Market development is comparatively easier. Why? Because if you see all good companies, they are present international. They are not limited to one. And we employ a lot of people. 20,000 only in risk management consultant, right? We got listed in 1991. We pay more than 10%. But specific service we are providing now, we are providing reception service. This is more of a physical service. Site security, again, this is a physical service. Retail security, this is actually on rising. This is also more of physical service. But when I say physical service, I am referring that we'll need more employees here, right? Risk advisory service, now this will be part of an intelligence-led service. Risk is a very broad term. It can be financial risk, it can be fraud risk, it can be reputational risk, it can be environmental risk, it can be political risk, legal risk, so many things. They have not justified or given exact idea what they are doing. However, there is always an opportunity to come up with new product in risk advisory services. Then corporate investigation, again part of intelligence-led service. This has been increasing now. Suspect of fraud. According to some data, I think it was through World Economic Forum, they were saying cyber attacks and all kind of fraud that is happening in company, right? Which was actually to spoil the company's brand or reduce their business. Almost 60% or more than 60% was done by their own employees. Why? Because they wanted to take a revenge. Maybe they didn't get a promotion and company didn't treated them well. So we need to take care from our internal employees also. In fact, I have a real example also. 2 years back, I have a student from Middle East. He was a CFO, and in his company, they got a cyber attack. So because of that, he was not able to give his strategic case study exam. And later I spoke to him, and he said the company got a cyber attack, and they didn't have an IT director like us. We also don't have. And later on, he told me that it was done by his own ex-employee who was actually part of cybersecurity team, who was there to safeguard the thing, and he himself planned the attack with some outsiders. And the reason being was he was not paid well, he was not treated well, he was in a company for more than 10 years. So this is very practical. So we need to keep internal check also. accuracy of the information provided, investigation, the accuracy. So it's all my job as a role of finance manager. Penetration testing. One thing you can think, oh, I am a finance person, why I should know all of this? You're not expected to know all of this. If you see, these are just superficial information. At least this much you should understand. These are basic stuff. Okay. Penetration testing is all about how efficient the current security is. So penetration testing can be for physical also, online also. Mostly this penetration word is used for online testing. Penetration test of the IT system. Then training business is growing, and it's very easier to do the market development and product development also. Nowadays, in online they can do, or they can arrange some events if they are doing internationally. Revenue split, maximum of our revenue is actually coming from physical security, and from intelligence slate is 15%. However, if you want to grow and retain, I think it's better. I think means from the data, there is higher margin for intelligence led services, and this is growing. So we have to tap into this market. At the same time, we need to have a very good human resource policy to maintain the physical security services. Because when we go to profit, here you see almost 26% profit is coming from 15% of revenue. And it's easier to retain that also. Easier, when I use the word easier, I am saying in comparison to physical security. And the hassle is less, because you don't have to have hundreds and thousands of employees, hundreds of thousands, I would say, globally, for the physical security service. So if given an opportunity, our first priority should be intelligence-led security service. In fact, the easier way, what our company Saefwell can do is, where we are doing physical security for the same company, we have to do the risk assessment and try to tell them how coming with Saefwell can help them improving their business. What value that intelligence-led security service can actually give to them. So that will be easier, because we already have an goodwill with them. We already have a good history, right? Relationship with them. Then our mission is about provide clients with security solution and services. So basically, we want our clients to just focus on their core business. Rest all, our company will take care of it. Vision to become the most trusted service provider. Any business, trust is most important. However, especially when it comes to security, where we might be doing even cash logistics, things with expensive stuff, or very, very confidential information. So trust becomes even more important. A single time, if there is a breach, then the entire trust can be on a toss. Values, we are responsive, innovative, and we take care of their employee safety. We have discussed about the board of directors also, that we have only one NED who is coming from finance, and we have an imbalanced board. We need 2 more NEDs to balance the board, and we need a finance person to be part of the audit committee, so we can replace the chairperson, that is Dr. Pratim. We have seen the risk and risk impact. What are the major risks we are facing? One of the major risk was about security, and second was handling so much of employees. So our human resource policy is of very important. Okay. And lastly, we saw the news articles that we'll be having new rules coming for reporting of digital risks. So basically, a lot of changes are coming in the future. In fact, there are so many elections going to happen. So when the government change also, this thing can might be postponed, or there might be some changes in that, stuff like that. However, sooner or later, this thing will be a mandatory. Then steady demand for forensic accountants. We have an opportunity of forensic accountants. Again, in intelligence-led service. We are a listed company, we can raise finance. So whenever we see opportunities like that, we can start this business if we are not doing it. or maybe we can acquire a small or medium business who is doing this, so we can accelerate or we can get expertise on this. That is like product development, and we can do it very fast because we have cash backup, we have finance. That's an advantage of being a listed company. Acquisition will save your time. Then bank security tackles robbers. It's kind of goodwill for the industry. And the last one was a lot of people.
Misbah, I have a doubt.
Yeah,
This previous article, the one about the security guard,
yeah. Tell me.
um, it's like it's done by someone in the industry, right? Not they are not saying it's done by Saefwell staff.
They have not mentioned.
Okay. So how does it affect Saefwell, or what's the implication?
That's what I said. It's a goodwill for the industry.
Okay.
Because if that happens, other banks and other people think, oh, we need our security, right?
Okay, they'll understand the importance of this.
Yes.
Okay.
Because if you just see the next news, it's a disadvantage. It's not a good news. Here also they have not mentioned Saefwell. They have not mentioned our company. However, it is a negative kind of news. Just opposite to that. Because people are moving from government jobs to private because we are paying high. In fact, we are one of the company who is paying high. We are paying higher than our competitors also, 10% extra. And its advantages, we don't need to train them so much. They already have a lot of training done, experience, they know the laws and everything. All right. So that was a revision. That was not quick. I took little time. And I hope it gave you an idea. The reason I am doing it is you have to master the pre-scene. That is must. Okay. So over the week, you have to do SWOT analysis. And at the same time, I want you guys to write a summary of the pre-scene. Because while communicating is fine, oral communication is good. However, I find sometimes students struggle when it comes to writing. So this is a 24-page pre-scene. You write this in just 4 to 5 pages in your own words. What you understood, like a summary. Okay, and you have the entire week. So when you'll come for the Saturday class, you have to come up with the summary. We'll be doing finance also now, so you can add 1 page of finance also in that. Summary of your understanding, and you should write your name and start. I am so and so. I work for Saefwell. My company does this. These are the problem. This might be the solution. Little bit of solution you can add. These are the things we are doing now. These are things we can do in the future. Right? A proper summary plus some extra points from your own understanding. And for doing that, if you need to do some research, I mean, pre-scene will help you. But if you want to do some extra research, you can do from the industry. Any doubt in that? Anyone? You should be a master of the pre-scene. Yes, no? Everyone?
Yes, Misbah. I'll
Understood,
look
right?
it up. Yeah. There's one question that I have. So we have to do SWOT of the whole case study and SWOT of uh, board of directors, and then this summary of this and
Yes.
some industry analysis. By now, we should have done this many things, right?
Yes, I mean, you can do the coming week also. At least by Saturday you do. Industry
Yeah.
analysis, I am not expecting. If you just do these 3 things, is fine.
Okay.
When I say
Okay.
industry analysis, maybe 2-3 companies' website you can visit. That's it.
Misbah, I don't know, like the last company that we had, that was like something that I was trying to, when I'm reading it or when I'm discussing, I was able to gather more points about it. With this, I'm not able to gather more points. Like I'm not able to come up things on my own for some reason, and I'm clueless about it. Like, why is it happening?
Maybe you can visit some companies, you will get more idea. In fact, this business is more relevant than the previous when they were doing warehouse management. This business is everywhere. For
Yeah, but
example, you travel airport, right? We have security. Many times, most of the security people are working for a private company. If you go to Heathrow Airport, It's
Yeah.
not like the government employees. They are private security people,
Mm-hmm. No, so
right?
like with the board of directors, so previously we could like locate like which NED to bring if you want to bring, and here like I'm not able to come up with a solid answer with how I should balance the board and make it more
Right.
efficient. So that is something that I need like your point of view or like other people in the class their point of view, so that I can understand like what I think about it and
Right.
how right come up with
What
it.
you have to do is, firstly, we might not have that understanding. Therefore, this doubt is coming. So I have resent the same file, which is about 23 physical security companies leading. Go to their
Mhm.
website, check their board,
Okay.
and compare. So if you just do for 4 to 5 companies, and if you compare their board of directors with our board, you'll get an idea.
Okay.
Simple. And
Okay.
you can go to the top company. For example, if you go to Securitas, if you go to Prosegur, so you'll have an idea. In fact, I shared the report also of Securitas.
Yeah,
It
I
has it.
have it open. Yeah.
Yeah. If you
Okay.
do for
I
few companies, you'll get a clear idea.
okay. Okay. Makes sense. Thanks,
Aditya,
Misbah.
especially if you go to the sections where they, in the annual report, if like around first 30 pages, they
Oh
talk
yeah.
about their product offerings and all. Try
Mm-hmm.
reading that part.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks, Shweta. I'll discuss it with you after class. Thanks.
Sure.
For example, we can just have a look quickly. It might help others also. Just give me a second. I'll share new screen. Can you see?
Yes, Misbah. Misbah, Taran wants to leave because he's not feeling well. Can you tell him if that's okay with you?
Yeah, yeah, Taran, please take care. Yeah. Can you see new screen, guys? So this is a board of director of Securitas, right? How many members we have? Chair. We'll go to their background also, but quickly. Chair, we have Asa, we have Jan, Asa, John, Frederick. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 6 members here. Then 5 members here. 11 members we have. Okay, almost 12 deputy. All right. Now, how to do research? So, for example, now we know our chair background, so we can go to this chairperson. Chair of the board since 2021. So, usually after 7 years. Hello, am I audible, everyone?
Yeah.
Yes, Misbah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So what corporate governance says, after 9 years, it's good to replace the non-executive directors. So if you go with that theory, this person just became chair in 2021. So it's been 3 years. No problem. Then education, degree in mechanical engineering and master of science in business and economics. Business and economics can be relevant. Mechanical engineering, I don't know. Assignments, basically the experience. Chair of AB Fagerholt, Billard AB, director of. So we need to see some background of these companies, what they actually do. I believe some of them might be a security related company. Previously, president and CEO of investment companies, CEO of Safeguard Sinbad, director of China Metal. Again, we need to do some background. Then shares in Securitas. Okay, they have given some for information and transaction made after this days. Please click. Anyways, so basically, this person is non-executive, right? So to get independence, maybe we have got someone from different background. However, this person definitely will have some or the other experience in the industry. If you compare to our chair experience is also good. Comparing to this, let's see other person. Director of Securitas since 2023. Principal education, MSc Civil Engineering. Again, not very relevant. President and CEO of Swico, AB Director of Swanka, Director of Seven Group. In and person invest, various senior position with Swecco Group, number of National Innovation Board, member of National Innovation Council, share in Securitas 0. Member, I think they are referring to non-executive. I'm just guessing, they have not given directly. These people should be more of non-executive. This person is coming from technology, director of Securitas. Okay, this is more of executive. Vice President of Apple International, Vice President of Apple, President CEO of Academic System. So we have got someone from technology now. And we have given shares also to our employees. Usually company does. So this point also you can add. We should give good shares to our executive to retain them. Right? And we should have people from technology. This is one of the leading technological company in the world, isn't it? Manufacturer, more of manufacturer. Now, if you click here, you'll get about their independence also. So please do some research. You'll get an idea, not only for the exam, but in general, in life also, it will help you. Any company you're applying for interview or working, you'll get how to analyze that. You see, independent relation to the company, independent relation to the shareholders. Why sometimes they have put no to the shareholders? Maybe they are holding shares, or there is some other clause in that. It also depends what kind of rules and regulation they have in this country. Okay, what code
Yes,
they are
Misbah,
following,
thank you.
what okay. Member of the board is the same thing. Yeah, I've given you the link also for other companies. Just 2-3 companies, if you do, you'll get an idea. If you're talking about Saefwell and being the second biggest, it's little confusing. You know, we can definitely have an improvised board. So let's start with the finance now. So basically, what is the importance of finance? What things we need to look in the finance? That should be clear. Firstly, there won't be any calculation question for you. Okay, they are not expecting you to use these numbers, or they will not expect you to present some calculation for these numbers. Okay, however, you'll be provided with the pre-scene also in the exam, right? If I compare this to management case study, where we have calculations, I mean, not in the exam, but they do ask questions related to IFRS and all. So that times it becomes even more important. But here, as a strategy, especially relating to the financial strategy, the most important thing I believe from the the financial analysis is the ratios. What is the specific ratios, and how that ratios will affect our decision making. For example, gearing. What is gearing? Gearing is debt to equity ratio. If our debt to equity ratio is very high, then we cannot raise much debt easily. Getting the point? So you can give a justification saying that, okay, we already have a gearing ratio of more than 50%, which is termed riskier, so we should not go for it. So that 50%, how you got? I'm just giving an example. That 50% we got from the financial analysis. Then we can use this information either for showing the growth. We can say from 2020 to 23, we have seen, let's say, 5% growth, 7% growth in revenue. Is it due to growth in business? Usually it will be through growth of business. Sometimes it can be due to inflation, we have raised the price. So technically it's not increasing. So we have to see the profit. We have to see the operating profit. Then we have to see the net profit. So that will give us an exact idea, okay, what might have happened. Because sometimes certain businesses, if you notice, their revenue will grow, but at the same time their operating cost will go up, and their operating profit will reduce despite the revenue being increased. So what can be the reason for that? Reason can be there is increase in fixed cost, right? If company's fixed cost is increasing with the revenue, so technically it will not help us in improving our operating profit, right, or profit for the business in general. So we need to break it down and understand. And again, we don't know exactly what operating cost we have. Then we have to do some research, or we can just guess. Again, they won't ask you what include operating cost. This has nothing to do with the number. But as a strategy, you can suggest two things. You can always suggest. One is like improving the revenue, and second one is reducing the expense. Reducing the expense without reducing the quality. Quality should not be affected. Okay, that's what I believe is important from financials. Some students try to learn all the ratios, not required. Want to remember the profit, want to remember the revenue, not important. Some ratios, if you want to remember the number, is okay, but it's not hard and fast that you are required to do that. This will be used more to justify. Okay, any questions? No questions. Okay, so let's get start with the revenue first. So they have given for Saefwell and they have given for Bruto also. So Bruto is number 3, right? They are just behind us. If you see here in top 10 companies, they are given for Bruto. So that means we are number 1 in Barland, and Bruto is number 2 in Barland. And technically, we both are dominating. Imagine this in different country, obviously, global facilities. If you combine both, that means the best companies in the world is from Barland security company. Even in terms of revenue, we have the highest market share. There might be a chance of a merger, acquisition. However, the probability is low considering the anti-monopoly law. What is anti-monopoly? Because if one company has a higher market share, according to UK, it's I think around 25 to 30%. If a company has more than 25 to 30%, the government authorities won't allow it. There is a risk they will create a monopoly. Okay. So in terms of revenue, how much growth we have seen in revenue? What is the percentage? If you just divide 16,840 by 15,830, you'll get it around 6.38%, right? Hello. Now, is this? I need answers from you. I don't know if you have gone through this, but you can just do conversation, so you'll have a better idea. 6.38. So usually now 6.38 or 6% plus is good growth in revenue or not. How we can see? We have to compare to the other companies. We have to compare to the industry average. So for immediate check, we have a competitor here to check what is their revenue growth. Can you tell me how much percentage it is quickly? Just divided by this.
Uh, 6.3.
For Bruto, I am saying. For us, it's 6.3,
Okay.
6.38. For Bruto, it is how much? I think it's 5.2 something.
5.264.
Yeah, 5.2. So very similar. The growth is there, but we have got a better deal, maybe by more than a 1%. So how it helps? So we can look at it in two ways. One is the industry is growing. Sometimes what happened that both the companies' revenue is growing, so that we can say the business in Barland is growing. If both the companies' revenue is going down or shrinking, we can say that the industry is getting saturated. So ideal situation, the industry should grow. So both the competitors should grow, and we should get better deal. What is the reason for this? Reason may be due to increase in intelligence-led services, or maybe, as I said, we might have changed the pricing also a little bit. There can be anything. Now, if we talk about operating cost, we have to see in terms of percentage. I have all this. I'll share a familiarization kit, but I want you guys to do it so you'll remember and have an idea. What is the percentage of operating cost last year versus this year? Just quickly divide it. 13,378 divided by 15,830. So you'll understand how much percentage went into that. That's a lot. 84.5. How much you got? Do for 22 also, 23 also.
You're saying operating margin, right?
What is the percentage we are spending in operating cost?
Okay. Okay.
5.7 increasing, you know.
What you do? 13,378 divided by 15,830. So you'll get a percentage.
$84.
Yeah, wait, too much. Yeah.
Exactly tell me how much for 22 and how much 23. There is a small difference.
So in 22
is
we were spending around
84.5.
84.5, and now we're spending 84. So the operating cost, actually, if we compare from the last year, it decreased comparatively.
Right, 0.5.
0.5, yeah.
Right. So in terms of number, if you see how much it will be 0.5, I think we can do that also.
Yeah, just need to multiply by that with the operating cost.
16,840 multiplied by 0.845 you do, and whatever the difference coming is the difference. Because this is in million, so 0.5 itself will make a major difference.
Yeah.
This is just for understanding. Well, I mean, in business, as a thumb rule, the best way to increase our profit is by decreasing the expenses, right? So now we are doing 0.5. Now we have to see what our competitor is doing. I believe there is a high opportunity for reducing the operating cost. How? By automating the products, I mean the processes, and automating the works, reducing the fixed cost. So we have just done 0.5. I think it's all right. However, there can be an improvisation for that. Let's see how much our competitor did. Can you just see quickly?
So competitor, they were sitting at 87% in 2022.
Are you sure 87?
Yeah, now they have dropped to 86.
Sorry, now?
86. So they dropped by 1% actually. So their operating
Yes.
cost decreased by 1% year on year.
Right. So please write this point up. We can improvise in operating cost because there is a 0.5% difference, and 0.5% in numbers also. If you get it will be very big amount.
Comparatively, we are performing better than them since our cost is at 84 and they are still sitting at 86, but they are improving year on year.
Yes. So what is the reason? This can help in benchmarking also.
Yeah, so we need to know from where that operating cost is coming.
Yes. What are the fixed and variable expense?
Yeah, once we know it, then we can address those issues.
Yes. I think if our revenue comes more from intelligence-led services, automatically operating cost will reduce.
Yeah.
So that can be one of the priority. Please write these points, because if you mention like these points in exam, definitely you'll get 1 point extra for these points, because these are not direct points. Indirectly, we have arrived to that. These are factual points, right? Even in physical security services now, companies are keeping robots, and we can even take it them on lease. You don't need to actually buy it. That also we can think. We can reduce the number of people working. Again,
But
operating cost will
maintenance cost would increase, right? If you're procuring robots, the tech cost, the infra you need for that. I mean, in the backend, you will have to have some infrastructure to monitor those even. So the initial capex cost would be way too much.
yes, initial capex can be
So
higher.
yeah, so the first year the cost will definitely go up, and in the consequent years, the only thing we need to worry about is like the depreciation, along with the maintenance and support cost for those. So if it's lower than the manpower, I mean it's good, but usually when we do it at that scale, the cost goes up
Right.
because it's just like EVs, right? In the MCS we studied like they are introducing EVs now, so they have to put a lot of money into the showrooms and all that. So same way here, like it's in the early adoption stage, robotics, like physical robots, still in the early adoption stage. So the cost will likely go higher since the infrastructure at a national level is not available, and we don't know how it will be perceived.
Right.
We
And we
don't know
cannot
the
do that in all the countries. Maybe in
yeah, that's
Barland
what.
and developed countries, it's easier.
Yeah,
Got your
and
point.
we need to see like the customer response as well. Like if the public feels safe or threatened, like AI, not everybody might have the same opinion towards it. So there could be some legislations related to that. I mean, some scrutiny might be there.
Right. Some people might see this as a threat. Some might see as an opportunity.
Yeah, so a man with a gun, you have to do a psychometric test and all those things. But for a robot, it's running on an algorithm, right? So if any cyber attack is there, I mean, it could malfunction. So all these things they need to take into consideration. So, a different
Got
topic,
it.
I mean, altogether.
Yes, yes. However, if you just talk about numbers,
Yeah,
this
number wise,
can be a good
it sounds
opportunity
good.
to start.
Yeah,
Like we already have, if you, I mean, in New York and London, in some places, the restaurants, I mean, it's in testing stage. I would say they have got robots to deliver food within restaurant, and
right.
McDonald's have completely, what is it, robotized their system. Even frying French, frying
Like for
fries.
events, they use
Yeah,
drones to monitor. Like instead of having like too many personnel, you just put a drone up in the air and you have a wider view of what's happening down.
right, right.
So that's also one way to save a lot of cost.
Yes. So we need to understand what is the operating cost we have. Here, I believe it's a very big opportunity for reducing the expenses.
Right.
And obviously, based on that, our operating profit. Operating profit is very important for our finance providers. Ultimately, they don't care if you are making profit or loss at the end of the year. Net profit, they don't care, right? Why they don't care? Because their money is coming from operating. So
Right.
in order to have good relationship with the banks, we need to work on operating profit. We also try to see what is the multiple. Certain banks will see what is the multiple. For example, now, if we talk about Brutto, right? Finance cost is 180, and how much is the operating profit? 1,791. So they will see the multiple, how much time they can pay us. So if you just quickly do for them,
Sure.
it's, it's coming 9.95, right? For 2023.
2023, it's 10%.
Yeah, 9.95. So almost 10%. 10 times. Sorry, not percentage. This is done in times.
Yeah, 10
So
times
we
you
have
can.
the capacity to pay the finance cost 10 times.
Yeah, so Brotos basically decreased.
Yes.
Yeah, they were able to pay it 11 times over, but now it has come down to.
No, I mean it increased, right? How it decreased? 22, it
Yeah,
was
it
1 lakh.
increased. My bad. My
Yeah.
bad.
So basically, these things are important turnover, and you can even use this number if you want to justify why we are flexible. I mean, we have to look for our company first. So this is also one major. We can justify that we can take more finance cost. Why? Because we are easily able to pay that.
Yeah. And it's a cheaper way of financing as well. I mean, it decreases your tax liability in the end.
Yes, and we still have a good space to leverage that. If it
Right.
is less than 5, less than 6, maybe some banks will not allow it. And if it is more than 10, I think banks will be happy to lend at the end
Right. At lower rates.
at low rates, or it will be a negotiation, other points, and everything.
Yeah, payment terms would also be very attractive.
Yes. And for us, if you see, I think it was around 12 times. Now it has come to 13 times roughly. Without
Yeah.
calculation, I'm saying 12 point something, now 13 point something. Everybody is getting what we are talking about?
Yeah.
Aditi, Fahim?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Now moving on. They've just given in very short. Tax expenses. So usually tax will increase obviously based on your profit. We called it gross profit, right?
Yeah.
Operating profit, gross profit, and net profit. So this will go up with that. However, company can do certain things. You know, they might acquire a loss-making company to reduce their tax expenses,
Tax liability.
tax liability. They can use to show higher profit in certain other places, but ultimately your head office is in Barland, so you have to do
Hardly.
safe reporting therein only. But there can be certain loopholes. However, we need to understand companies like Amazon have done it. They were paying almost zero federal tax in US, and they are paying in other countries, and that was completely legal. They are finding loopholes. However, the community didn't like it. There was a very big reputational risk. In 2018, Amazon paid zero federal tax. So that was, I mean, it's a textbook example now. And the later year, they paid a good amount of tax just to have a good reputation. So we need to take care. Ultimately, the society wants companies to pay tax, so the government will use that money for the benefit of the society. Right? But as a business, we need to see legally and ethically how we can save tax expenses. So one is by raising more debt finance. At the same time, we have to see our current gearing and what is the risk we are involved in, financial risk. Usually, if the gearing goes more than 50%, the stakeholders will consider this as risky, right? That also we need to see. Comparatively to the last year, the tax expense have gone up. So when we'll see this in the statement of cash flow, they have not given here. In cash flow, it will show that we have a higher cash outflow.
But the
Okay,
percentage is the same.
percentage is the same.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think because of
16.
the law, right? How much percentage it is?
16 tax.
16%. Okay.
Tax
I
will
think
remain the
it's
same
fixed by the
because of
government,
the
right? Hello?
tax expense will remain the same because the
Yeah,
because
the
of the
rise in
purchase
profit,
rating in
tax
the
is also
US.
increased.
Yeah.
Okay. Now going into changes in equity. So here retained earnings. Okay. Many times students will get confused thinking retained earning is equal to cash. Retained earning is not equal to cash. In fact, profit is also not equal to cash. Can you tell me why?
Yeah, it has a lot of non-cash items.
Depreciation, amortization, and non-cash items.
Yes. And
That's
even
why
in
the
accounting, we use accrual based of accounting. We might have
yeah
not received the money, but we'll account for it. That is also another thing.
yeah increase in receivables. I mean, decrease in payables. All those things we adjust in cash flow just for this purpose.
Yes. So if you are suggesting that, let's say we need like 2 million, right? Anything to do with 2 million, you are saying, why don't we use our retained earnings? So this is not wrong answer, however, not correct as well. Firstly, this is not equal to cash in hand. Secondly, this was in 31st December 2023. I mean, this is the one, not only that, that was starting. Closing is this, right? This was all you will be writing in August, almost 8 months. So we don't know what is the condition now. However, you can be little diplomatic saying that we can use some amount from the retained earning, which was around 2 million or around 3 million in end of 23. Like that, you can talk about. So the best way to use the funds especially for a small investment. You can use retained earnings. Why? Because easily available, and you almost have no expense for that. It's your money, you can use it anytime. It's freely available. You don't have to go for bank. You don't have to raise money, because that will take time and money. You have to spend resources, isn't it? So for smaller expenses, you can say retained earnings can be used. Again, there is a common question: how to raise finance, what type of finance to use. So one option can be retained earning. You can couple retained earnings with bank loan also, no problem. Or you can say retained earnings with rights issue also, no problem. You're getting the point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Clear.
Now coming to the dividend, most important. If you see dividend looks very high, what's the exact percentage? 84,
89.2.
89.2. So as it is almost 90%. That's very, very high. If you see industry average, companies are paying around 20 to 25%, less than 30%, I can say. So 90% is very high. So one of the reason can be, as we discussed yesterday, that share price is doing very bad. Share price is constantly going down. So in order to keep the shareholders happy, what are the ways shareholders will earn? There are only two ways. One is the dividend, and second is increase in the share price. Unfortunately, our share price is constantly going down, isn't it? So that may be the reason why we have paid higher dividends. Again, we don't know. They have not clearly talked about it. You see, continuous decline, right?
Yeah, it's
And what is the second reason? Second reason maybe it is one-off dividend. What is one-off dividend? When company has, sorry,
Misbah,
yeah,
I was checking Brottos now. 1169 divided by 1353. That's also around 86.4.
yes, that may be also a reason. We'll come to that point also.
Okay.
So 90% first reason can be because of share price. Second reason can be it is one-off dividend. What is one-off dividend? If you have cash surplus
Yeah, cash surplus.
and we don't have any investable projects, so we can give one-off dividend. Why? Because if you just keep cash idle, it will it's like lose its value. So it's better to give it back to the shareholders.
yeah.
Shareholders invest in new places, return their money. Okay. Or other way of using that can be to buy back shares. Maybe they would have done that. I would have suggested if they have money, they should have done cash buyback. Sorry, shares buyback by cash. So what would have happened? There will be less number of shares. So share price will also go up, and people will also get money.
Manipulation will be at its lowest.
Sorry, Zoeb.
Public manipulation will be at its lowest since the lesser number of shares are circulating in the market.
Yes. However, we can increase the share price, right? EPS will
Yeah.
increase. And if we need money in the future, we can again do the shares issue, rights issue.
Right.
That would have been a better choice. However, we don't have the information why the company took that decision. Now coming back to the next point, it may be an industry trend in Barland, as we are just comparing to the Brutto. Brutto paid how much? 86.4.
4.
86.4. So just very close again. 3% something difference is there. So very close. Again, they might have also paid because of their share price. We don't know how their share price is performing. Usually, companies in the same industry, share price will perform similar, unless there is something advantage or disadvantage for certain company.
Market size and all that. Yeah.
Yes, market size. There are two reasons. One is systematic risk, another is unsystematic risk. So one risk talk about the industry level risk, government regulations coming in, people's confidence, the society, everything. Another kind of risk is internal risk. For example, there is fraud happening, the company is not ethical, they're not complying with the regulation, not doing corporate governance. So two types of risk will affect. Based on that, the share price will be affected. Usually the internal risk is taken care of because these are listed company, they will be very strict, right? So if it is
Yeah.
only external, so we can assume the share price should be similar. Aditi, you're getting right, you're very silent today.
Yeah, yes, Misbah.
Please stop me if there is anything, even the basic question.
Yeah, okay.
So clear so far? Now coming to currency reserves. Firstly, share capital. I hope you understand. Share capital is basically what they have invested, the share price. Now coming to currency reserve. So currency reserve, this is mostly I would say gain or loss on paper. It's not actual because we are dealing in international business. Let's say we have certain money in different accounts. We will definitely have, right? So this is not a transaction risk. It's more of a translation risk where there is a fluctuation in the currency. And if we see, I think Bruto will also have the same because I believe we are competing in the same market. Yes, they also have loss of translation. That's also negative. But immediately in 24, when we close our books, this might become positive. So this is mostly concerned to on paper. We are actually not losing or gaining anything. However, certain times, if the directors' bonuses are connected to it, they will try to do something and reduce this as well. Okay. So that's the total we have. Opening balance has got this one, and profit for the year was 2000 million. Then loss on translation, closing balances. That one. Again, this is not equal to cash. Only thing is retained earnings. Some part of retained earnings we can use as an investment. All right. Now moving on to the financial position, assets. So we might have to go back and link. So directly there is a huge increase in our non-current asset. So it's an advantage. Why? Because this can be used as a collateral. However, the good point is usually when the property, plant and equipment increases, companies do it through debt. So our finance cost should increase. But fortunately, our finance cost remain the same. 200 million, 200 million. That means we have not taken debt. Right? So this might be due to revaluation also, or maybe we have done it through retained earnings, or maybe finance lease we have taken. That is also one of the reason. But overall, this again gives us confidence to do more debt. Why? Now because of this, our gearing will reduce. If your assets are increasing, your gearing will reduce. And that might be some reason we have acquired certain businesses, and usually it's a trend. In industry analysis, we'll discuss in detail. In this business, acquisition and mergers, strategic alliance is very common because companies are operating in so many countries, so many geographies. Doing everything alone is almost impossible. They need support.
Yeah, because
So
if
you
they're
might,
not performing a certain function, instead of starting it from scratch, it's cheaper to acquire.
yes, cheaper to
So they,
acquire plus mitigating the risk. Maybe
yeah,
we are competing with Bruto in Barland very strictly,
yeah.
and we are
Plus
in
they,
friendly relationship with them in other countries.
right. Plus they get expertise which they lack in the certain region, and they get to tap into the market where they did not have any presence earlier. Like we were
Right.
discussing about a company at a global level which offers like cleaning services and all that. So maybe like there are companies who want to hire, like they don't wanna issue two separate contracts to security and cleaning. They would only go with the one which is providing both of the services. So it makes for the customers, it saves the transaction cost for the customer as well. So I mean it's a win-win.
Yes. Good point. And I think our competitors also, their assets have also gone up. So usually when strategy is successful, no competitors will copy. We might copy them, they might copy us. There can also be a lot of things which is obvious the company should do. Right, they've also gone up. But for us, it's comparatively bigger. If you see our non-property, plant and equipment was very low. It was not even 1,000. Right? Maybe try to recover it. Goodwill. Now, what is goodwill? Basically, it's an more of part of intangible assets only, but sometimes they'll write it separately. Again, we have to see according to IFRS what level they are doing. Usually, if it remains good, it's good for the company. Remains the same also, it's good for the company. Intangible assets. Intangible assets, I believe, is very important for this industry, especially when we are dealing with intelligence-led services. Unfortunately, there has been a small decline in that. So we need to see what intangible assets have been declined. Sometimes what happened, there is no decline, but the current patent expired. If we patent something, it's not forever. It might have certain period, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Patent might have expired means intangible asset reduce. And according to IFRS, if it is not giving any economic benefit, we don't qualify it as an intangible asset, right? We'll not put into the financial position or balance sheet. That may be one of the reasons. So write one more point that we need to invest in intangible assets. This is important for our business, especially when we are such a old company. We should have very high amount of intangible assets. We should have acquired so much. If you compare this to
Right.
our competitor, for them it has gone up. Maybe our reduction has helped them. I mean, the probability is very low. They might have worked on it. So we need to be careful. Intangible asset is important. Any service industry, intangible asset, goodwill becomes very important. Even more important than the hard asset, property, plant and equipment. If you see in 2022, we have only 998 million of PPE, but intangible asset was 1,388, right?
Yeah.
That shows the importance. So this might be a small weakness for us and can lead to a big problem. Overall, non-current asset has gone up. That is an advantage. We have more things to give as a collateral when we are raising finance. Coming to current asset, trade receivable. Again, we don't have information on receivables and payables, but usually when we are into B2B business, business to business, 90% of the time, or at least majority of the time, I can say, we have to deal on credit. Because companies have a policy, they won't pay in advance or they won't pay immediately. Some will say 60 days, 90 days. Here, I believe the amount is so big, they can even take 6 months or more than that.
Even with
So-
customers, with consumer now, the same is the case. Tabby, Tamara, in UAE, we have these things. Like, even if you want to buy a meal, like it costs 30 dirhams or 20 dirham even, you can split it into 4 payments. Like, you don't have to pay anything upfront even. So, I mean, this is becoming a trend now. You don't
Yes,
have to
this
pay a
is
single penny up.
Yes, I was seeing one advertisement. You can buy shoes for 70 or 80 pounds, and you can pay in EMI. 7 to 8
Yeah, that's
EMI.
what. Here on food, like if you want to buy a food from Zomato Talabat, you can do the payment with the Tamara and you don't have to pay anything upfront. Like 20 dirhams, you can split it into 4 payments. So, I mean, a, a person would buy. Even if his buying power is low, he would go for it because he knows he can pay it in 4. Like he wants to try some new food or something and he doesn't have the money, he will still buy it because he knows he can pay at his own flexibility. And there is no interest cost included.
Right. I think that's the way companies are increasing their revenue. They are even
Yeah.
targeting people who cannot afford it.
So basically, Tamara and Tabby is a new company developed here. So in order to save the advertisement cost, they're providing free services at the moment via Noon.
Good.
So Noon is a big platform, right?
Yes,
So
Noon
if
is
they get registered there without offering any interest, asking for any interest, I mean, they're getting free, and now they're everywhere. Trendyol, you name the app, they're there. So that's
Yes.
how they're generating revenue.
Yeah, that's a good option to get more business as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Secondly,
you don't need to
what
worry
are
about
you?
the buying power of the customer
Yes.
anymore.
And one more thing, I just did some research also on what you're saying. And what I realize is usually they're tying up with the bank. For example, if you are the business owner and you are marketing in your website saying that you can give 4 options and I'm your customer, technically you are getting upfront money. I'll be paying in
Right.
4 installment. You'll get upfront
Bank
money.
is taking care of it.
Bank is the middleman. And you have to
Right.
pay, let's say, 2% to the bank.
Basically, you're transferring the risk for a certain
Yes.
percentage.
Yes. So if you see, it's a win-win situation. I am able to buy now at EMI, right? Equated monthly installment. You're getting your upfront revenue. Maybe you have to give 2% discount, but you're getting extra business. Or you can even increase the price by 2%. Who cares? Who is noticing?
Yeah, yeah.
And bank
That's how
is
it is.
getting business. That's a good idea. I think the bigger companies are already doing it, and we should motivate it. For a business, it's good. If you are
Yeah, yeah.
getting new clients, why not? So trade receivable for us in one way is good. Maybe if you just see what growth we have got in revenue, maybe because we have little bit of lenient credit terms, maybe one of the reason.
Yeah.
However,
Good.
we need to understand that every business will have some amount of bad debts, even if it is a smallest of business. That's where credit risk management will come in, right? So we'll have a
Right.
credit team who will be doing all of this.
I noticed one thing in MCS, just off the topic thing, in MCS. Even when I was, attempting my exam, I gave like relevant real world examples, like even if it's not related to the industry, but could be used in the automobile industry. And I think it worked out for me.
Yes, I agree. So firstly, we have to get an example from the industry. If not, you can give from outside industry also. As long
Yeah,
as
yeah,
it makes
that's
sense, as long as it's relevant. For example, trade receivable, we are talking about now security company. Even if you give food industry, you can
right,
say in the smaller companies are doing, it makes sense. And in
right.
fact, if you give example, it will improve your answer. One example can add 1 mark. 1 mark is a big thing for exam.
Big
Just
thing.
one
Yeah,
example. So wherever possible, put in examples, real world example. Because even if if we are communicating now, okay, forget about exams. We are just talking in general. Let's say if I
yeah,
talk about something and if I talk the same thing with example, so obviously with example you guys will be more convinced because you can even cross check. Oh yes, that's the truth. Same thing goes with the companies because ultimately you are communicating with a human and they want to see a suggestion which you are giving which is tested in the market, which is being successful in the market. So automatically the quality of your answer, the quality of your argument or justification will
it will
increase.
be right, right. But one thing is there, like it varies, I believe, student to student. Some students they perform good when they have, made notes because they're not that creative. I mean, they don't think on their toes. I mean, it's not a bad thing. Everybody studies differently, I believe. So everyone will have a different approach to answer exams. But this way, I find it more helpful for me. Like
Yes, you can
I
continue
find it
same like
easier
for
to write
SCL.
down the course. Right,
Yes.
right.
Even learning methods will change. Some students will learn more from textbook. Some want everything to be linked to the real world and then come back to textbook.
Right.
Either way, is fine.
Right. Yeah. Like
So trade
personally, I
receivers.
learn more by listening.
Okay, you prefer to do it through
Yeah,
listening.
yeah.
Nice,
Like watching a movie, listening, just listening, and I just come up with ideas and all that.
nice. It's always better to write ideas as well because there's a chance we might forget,
Yeah, yeah. That's
especially in
all.
the exam because the 3 hours will go like 3 minutes. So if we revise immediately before the exam, that will help.
Note it down. Right.
So increase in trade receivable is, in a way, we can say our business is growing. However, there is a risk, credit risk. So provide that we are managing the risk, we have all the credit controls in place, we have a policy, legal team, all support in place, then it is good. However, there should be a maximum level of increase we can do it. Okay. Then bank, this is your actual money, you can say. Now what you can use immediately for disposal is the cash at bank. Again, this was on December 23, but we can say that we might have similar amount for us now, so this can be used. However, again, we cannot use 100% of that. This is like an emergency fund for our working capital. Let's say this
Even our
receivable.
intangibles are low, so we might have to, to renew and all. We might need money.
Yes. Also, if our receivables get delayed, then what you will do? Then you have to use your cash at bank. So it's very risky. Every company want to have a decent amount in the bank.
Hello?
Yeah, Shweta. Any question?
Yeah. Why is there no inventory? Like, is there no sale of maybe security related equipment or things like that? It's only service?
There should be inventory definitely. They have not
That
mentioned. Might be very small or something like that.
Like, no matter how small it is, ideally it should be in the thing, no? Like in our
Maybe,
case, there's nothing mentioned of any. Is there anything mentioned of sale of equipment? I don't think so.
no. Hello?
Yeah.
No, inventory they have not mentioned for our competitors also. Maybe they
usually
have
for
coupled
services you
the.
find inventory. I mean,
Sorry?
Sorry.
usually services industry they don't maintain inventory. They do buy things, but they don't maintain as an inventory.
But they may be selling cameras, CCTV cameras, and things like that, right?
They
Like,
haven't.
Mr. The annual report that you sent of Securitas, in that, if you read the product offerings, one major product they offer is sale of these stuff, security related products.
Okay. So maybe we are not doing it at the moment, therefore they have not mentioned. Technically, your question is correct. If they have not given, I don't know exactly why. Maybe we are not doing that business. That's how we can understand. Or we might not have enough inventory.
So
We are
it
not
may be
using.
like
Even
an
if
opportunity. You can consider it like
even
an
if they
opportunity.
bought for the inventory for the small quantity, they will treat it as expense directly. No need to carry out in the balance sheet because their business is normally service industry, not retail.
Good point. Yes.
Okay.
Then moving on to the equity side, share capital is the same. Currency reserve, we got it from retained earnings, obviously the same. Borrowings has remained the same. As we just discussed, if non-current asset is increasing, the PPE, property, plant and equipment borrowings also goes up. So we have been maintaining the borrowing. That means we have not taken debt in the last 2 years, 22 also, 23 also. Current liabilities, tax payables obviously have gone up with the profit. Sorry, trade payables. Sorry, tax payable, tax liability has gone up with the profit. Trade payables also have gone up. Same with the receivables. Payables also can be high. What can be the payable for our industry? Any example you can think?
The salaries maybe
Okay.
Trade
or
payables.
Yeah.
any annual fees, annual maintenance fees, like intelligence security service.
Subscription services which are getting
AMC.
licenses to operate, cloud cost for maintaining the data sets, databases.
Right. They might also be, outsourcing some of the services. It's so complex. We are not doing
Yeah, yeah.
everything on. So again, B2B, and we'll pay them on credit.
Can you please explain that subscription related one? The one Zoeb talked about?
Subscription. So, Misbah, is the question addressed towards you or me?
You, Zoeb, you give an example.
You.
For the subscription? So
Yes.
basically, you buy a subscription of cloud services, right? You have the data, customer data. So you cannot keep everything on premises. You mostly companies instead of having the infrastructure for it, they go for cloud services where you can store the data. The security services are being offered by the third party, so you don't need to worry about data being leaked. You don't need to worry about having cyber attacks and all those things. It's being taken care by third parties. So that's a subscription based service. It's basically right to use licenses for the cloud. I mean, this terminology might be a bit difficult to understand because I work in a company where we do this all the time, so that's why it comes easy to me.
Thank you.
Do you know about Microsoft Azure? So Azure is a cloud-based service, a product offered by Microsoft. So basically, you can subscribe to that Azure product by Microsoft and use it as a cloud for your products.
Right.
You just need to pay how much you use it. You don't need to pay a penny extra. You don't need to buy a full-fledged product. You don't need to worry about the usage. You will pay as much as the usage is. So that's what you call a subscription-based service.
I mean, even our classes, what we are recording is on the Google Cloud. So we are paying on the subscription base. So most
Yeah,
of the business are on subscription.
Yeah, got it.
it's upon the
Thank
number
you.
of users as well. I mean, the more users you have, the more you will have to pay. Right to use, what we call it.
Right. So trade payables have been increased. Maybe we are trying to align with receivables. However, it's always good to control our payables so we don't have a liability, much liability, short-term liability, because current liability can be a problem. Right. Again, in certain ratios, we'll be looking when we do quick ratio. What is quick ratio? Current asset minus current liability.
Current
That
liability.
time
Yeah.
we need to keep it positive. These are certain ratios which stakeholders will be looking at when they are stakeholder, as in the banks when they're giving loan, or shareholders when they're investing, suppliers. Let's say I'm a supplier of Saefwell and I see that your liability is very high, trade payables. So I will definitely doubt and I'll say I usually give 60 days, for you I'll give 30 days. Why? Because your payable is high. In the opposite way, if your payables is low, I might be happy to give you more credit. So this is just like a CIBIL score, how much you have utilized, what's your limit, and everything. Same thing if we compare to Bruto's, we have already seen this one. Receivables for them has decently increased, very small. And bank has also been increased. Maybe from the retained earnings, they have managed to do so. Equity remains the same. Currency reserves have gone down. I believe they might be also doing businesses in similar countries like us. Retained earning, obviously, with the profit should go up. Borrowings remain the same. Again, their PP, property, plant, and equipment is not done by borrowing. Trade payables, again, very slightly increased. Tax liability gone up. Very similar to us, if you see. Almost everything is same. You just read a little bit of their background. Bruto Security Group, or you can write BSG also in short, is one of 4 security companies based in Barland that offers both physical security services and intelligence net. That means this is an immediate competitor, like Coca-Cola and Pepsi. Immediate, both the services, like Saefwell. It focuses on security and does not offer other types of service such as facilities management. Saefwell and Bruto Security frequently compete for the same assignment. It's an immediate thing. How many countries they are, how big it is, they have not mentioned. However, based on the numbers and when they mention group, I believe it's almost the same size. And their presence are there internationally because they are number 3 in terms of revenue globally. So 100% they are there in internationally also.
Right.
Mostly you need to focus on our ratios, our numbers. Little bit, if you want, you can do for the competitors, but in exam you don't need to mention their ratio or something like it. Maybe in terms of dividend you feel like you want to justify that paying high dividend is good because Bruto is paying, that time you can. Otherwise, your main focus should be on R numbers. Okay, so please calculate that ratios. I'm sharing you a familiarization kit that already has been done all the calculations, but I want you to do on your own also. So you'll remember it and you'll understand it. What does that specific ratio means? Is it good or bad? Good or bad means that numbers, what we are getting, that percentage, what you are getting is good for our case, or it can be a problem for us. Okay. Any
Yeah.
questions? What we can do quickly, I mean, we have done with the financials. We can quickly disclose. Discuss some of the ratios. Is it okay? We have some time, so you'll get better idea to calculate. It will
Yes,
be a
sir.
good revision. Okay. So we're starting with F3. The first chapter is about strategic financial objectives. In this, we'll talk about specific ratios. Before starting, they have given a basic terminologies which we are already aware, but we can quickly go through it. Mission. What is mission? Right. Fundamental objective of an entity. Objectives are basically the goals what we have. Then business are of different types. It's also known as entities. Some are for profit. We are for profit. That means our aim is to earn profit for our shareholders. They're non for profit, like CIMA is non for profit. Then we have charity. We have so many other government. Best example is government. They are non for profit. Then we have unincorporated and incorporated. Unincorporated are smaller business like sole traders, partnership, people who are self-employed, or 2-3 people are doing that is partnership. Incorporate is a business which is legally separate from its owner, like Saefwell. Any private limited business usually incorporate because their liability is limited to the business. Owner is separate, business is separate. There's a wheel between both of them. Then we have quoted and unquoted, or listed and unlisted, we can call them. Quoted means company which is listed in the stock exchange, like we are listed in Barlandian Stock Exchange. It's expensive, but it's easier to raise finance. So it has both advantage and disadvantages. Unquoted smaller businesses are usually unlisted. However, there is a chance Saefwell might think to go for unlisting also. The probability is very low, but there are certain companies who have been listed first and later on they became unlisted, or from quoted first and they become unquoted later, because the shareholders think like, especially the directors, they wanted to put a lot of their own money and buy back the shares. Then private sector entity is owned by private investors, financial institutions and all. Public sector is owned by the government. We have charitable entities also for philanthropic and non-for-profit, like we have Amnesty International, Red Cross, Oxfam. Then we have association, ACCA is association, CIMA is association, International Olympic Committee is there. They'll be having Olympics now in Paris next month. These are all association, and mostly association is also for, non-for-profit. The difference between charitable and association is people who are part of the association, they'll get benefit and they'll pay for it. In charitable, the difference is somebody else is paying. Let's say we are paying under our CSR, or individual is giving charity, and somebody else is getting the benefit. There's a difference, and obviously the rules and regulation is different. And stakeholders. Who are stakeholders? People who are interested in the business. I hope these terms were very simple. Anybody, any doubt here?
What is the major difference the charity and association?
Charity's main aim is just to help the people or the society in general. But association main aim is not to help people in general. Association can be anything. For example, you made an association to do world travel just for leisure. That is still association. Association of travelers.
I mean,
So
the time spent is the short term or the long term for both?
Both can be
Association
long
and-
term. Both can be long. Usually for association, you will not get government grants, CSR money, charity you won't get for association. because
Simple
association is
example,
first.
but
Sorry,
both are legal entity, right?
obviously everything is legal. We are not talking about illegal anything.
Well, then why they are going to be able to get this kind of facilities from the government?
Sorry.
Why they cannot get charity and other things from the government? This is for the government
Association.
also.
Okay. Yeah. Association can get, but priority is very low. Why? Because association focus only on the members for benefit. For example, now you become CIMA member. So
Oh.
CIMA will work for your benefit. If you are not a member, they won't work for your benefit. They won't call your friend and say there is a job opportunity, but they'll email you, oh, there's an opportunity, there is a meet and greet event. And usually
okay.
you have to pay, the association member have to pay for that facility.
Okay,
Getting
okay,
the,
good. Yeah,
but
yeah.
in charity, it is for a greater good. What Oxfam is doing is to eradicate poverty. Their mission is about eradicating poverty. They want to give people food to eat, basic necessities they are working on. Amnesty International is fighting for human rights.
The charity, they can collect the rest of fund from the public. Association can collect the fund within the members, right? We can say like this.
Yes, association can also get grants, tax exemption. However, getting money directly from outside is difficult because they don't have a showcase to say they're helping people in general. They're just helping their members.
Yeah, okay. Okay,
A
thank you.
labor union would be an example, right?
Sorry?
A labor union would be could be an example of
Yes.
association.
Yes. Labor union is. Again, labor union will only help people who are part of the union. So association.
Yeah, yeah. That's
So why we are reading this? I mean, why we are discussing this? Because ultimately all of these are stakeholders. Though you are quoted for profit business, but still you have to deal with unquoted. You have to deal with public sector. You have to deal with charity. Yesterday we were discussing one of the NED. She is from mechanical manufacturing, right? But one advantage she has is she is coming from a charity. So when you want to work on our goodwill, you want to improve our reputation. If we do certain charity, that will help us. And usually big companies do that. They constantly put money in charity. That will increase goodwill for the business, isn't it? So having connections in the charity will help. You don't want to go to any charity which doesn't have any goodwill in the market or any name. You'll go with the charity which are international. Why? Because Saefwell want to use that for their marketing indirectly, isn't it? The spending in CSR is for benefit of the society. However, companies do for their benefit ultimately. For example, if it is a sports manufacturer, they will sponsor only sports events. Ultimately, their future customers are there, right? So CSR plus marketing, CSR as a marketing.
but that's a hidden barter. I mean, it benefits both parties in one way or another.
Yes. But companies will be very keen to help people who are actually from our ecosystem, who can help us back. Which can be unethical at times. Anyways, then moving forward, shareholder conflicts. So basically, who is the owner of the business, also known as the principal, is the shareholders. And who is working for the shareholders? Agents. We are the agents. We are senior managers, right? So we are the agents. So what is shareholder conflict? What happens if the agent is working for their own self-interest rather than the interest of the principal? It's called shareholder conflict. Agency theory. Agency theory means agent is working for their own benefit than the principal. So one of the reason why we want a balanced board, why we want a corporate governance to be effective, that agents should not work for their own benefit. They should not decide their own remuneration. They should not give, evaluation to each other. You give me 5 star, I'll give you 5 out of 5, like that. No. Corporate governance is one way of managing the risk. Then, whether it is for profit or non for profit, both will have financial objectives. Even if it is non for profit, let's say association is there, charity is there. They also need money. They'll have employees. They have to pay salaries. They have to pay office rent. They have to pay for logistics, travel, isn't it? So everybody who is surviving, they'll have financial objectives. In this world, as an individual or as a company, people or companies will have financial objectives, isn't it?
Yeah.
To what levels and everything is totally different. In one of the, not in one of the exam, lot of exams in F3, if someone of you has done individual F3, they will remember they ask this question that do non-for-profit have financial objectives? So student doesn't have experience, especially university students, they will do it wrong. They'll say no, they don't have. But ultimately, they also do have. Why we are just talking about Oxfam, Amnesty International, Red Cross? Why not other charities? There are hundreds and thousands of them around the world. Why only these names? Because these are the market leaders. They are also competing against each other for the same money. If Saefwell want to give only to one charity, let's say, or two charities, there are hundreds of charities. So whom will Saefwell choose? Obviously the best one. So they also have to compete with each other. If they don't get money, they are gone. Their employees are gone. They have to shut down, isn't it? So there is a competition for them as well. In fact, nowadays, even this charities and non-for-profit have started doing business which is for profit. But again, it's under the umbrella of non-for-profit. Why? The logic here is they will do business at a smaller level, and whatever money they are generating, they will use for the profit of their clients, as in the charity whom their target audience is. And the reason is they don't want to depend on companies or governments to give grant. What if company goes in loss? What if government don't want to give any money? So they want to earn their own money and spend for the goodwill, which is being criticized also. People have different opinions on that. Anyways. So what are the financial performance indicators? So these are some ratios. I'll share this file also. Whatever you can calculate, we have very limited financial numbers also. From that, if you can calculate, you can calculate the ratios. Make a file and share on the group. You have an entire week to work on it. So return on investors is there. Cash generation is there. Liquidity, what we are talking about. Therefore, we need cash at bank. Value added, return on asset, market share, competitive position. These are all financial performance indicators. Non-financial performance, company employees. For example, we are giving 10% extra. So that is non-financial objective we are doing. Our values talk about employee safety, wellness and safety. That is job security we are talking about. Good conditions we are talking about. Company management and directors, what they are doing. Suppliers, we should give prompt payment. Basically, we should be ethical. Working with the government. Government main priority is to give jobs. So if you are giving jobs, we can have good relation with the government. We can even use that as a negotiation point as well. Community, environmental concerns, customer pressure, customer satisfaction. These are all non-financial objectives. Ultimately, if we are good in non-financials, it can affect in financial also. Not in short term, but in long term. Same thing applies for non-for-profit. Similar objectives, cash generation. Cash generation is very difficult for non-for-profit, especially if they don't have their a smaller branch which is earning profit. Even for association, if you talk about CIMA also, or any ACC, anything, CPA, members have to pay the fees. Many times member thinks like the fees is very high, but if you think logically, where they'll get money from, right? Either it's a student fees or the members fees. So they have to charge at least some amount to survive. They have a lot of expenses. Value added, profitability, return on assets, market share, competitive position. Even for them, there is competitive position, market share. I just gave you an example. Risk exposure also they have to see. Many times this charity and association can be used by certain political parties for their benefit. So they have to be very careful with the risk. Next is value for money. Companies need to be very careful with the money they're investing, especially non-for-profit. For example, directors of non-for-profit, if they are seen traveling business class, people might question it, why you're spending this. extra money, economy, efficiency, effectiveness, equity, how many people actually it reached, like that. And once they go international operation, they have to, I mean, this will discuss detail in risk, but just as in basic, they have to see more issues, more things to be taken care of, which is there nationally also. However, it will increase when you go internationally. For example, competition will increase. Country factors. Country factors is like sometimes you'll get cheap labor, but you won't get quality labor. You'll get cheap labor, you'll not get infrastructure. If you're getting infrastructure, the tax is high. So, like Porter's diamond. If you remember Porter's diamond, we'll discuss that in E3 also. Certain countries will have certain advantage. If you want to start a manufacturing business in China, you have a very good infrastructure. You have policies, regulations which is favoring. You have good logistic support, good infrastructure. And somebody want to do in, let's say, Nepal, it might be totally different. That is country factors. Benefits to the customer, economies of scale, translation risk will have, transaction and transaction risk can be have, and cost of capital will also be. So usually businesses, as we are discussing sometime before, in security only we are seeing every business is international, almost every business. Whereas in other industry, if you see companies, when they do good at national level, they want to do diversification in different industry. Very few want to go international. Maybe they want to go, let's say, in Dubai or all some where they feel it's very safe to do business, but they won't extend to a lot of places. They will extend in different sectors, diversify. Ultimately, things depend on industry. Ratios, what we need to calculate. So everybody will look at different ratios. Now you are an employee, you will be looking at profit of the company. You also want your job security, right? As a shareholders, they look more into profitability ratio. They look into investors ratio. What are the profitability ratio? Gross profit margin is there. I mean, there are so many. These are maybe the top ones we can say. Gross profit by sales into 100, operating profit by sales into 100, return on capital employed, return on equity, asset turnover, how well we are utilizing the asset. Lenders, as a bank, they look at the gearing, debt by equity. Usually we use debt by debt plus equity. That's the formula. Interest cover. We just did interest cover for us, right? It was coming 12 times. That is interest cover. Debt ratio. Investor will look at so many things: earning per share, price earning ratio, earnings yield, dividend payout. See if you can calculate at least few of them, because we don't have information to do all of that. Dividend cover, earning growth, and when you do it, write something what you understand from that, how it will affect safe. Trust me, if you do all this level now, you'll get very good marks. Now it's just about writing in the exam. Then effects of interest rate changes. I mean, this is more of an economic situation, but we can quickly discuss it as a part of the chapter. If interest rate change, firstly, why interest rate change in any country? Because of the inflation. As a rule of thumb, the interest rate should be higher than the inflation. What is inflation? The prices of the goods and services going up can be called as inflation. Like a bread, if you bought for $1, now tomorrow you are going to buy for 1.2. There's 20% inflation, right? So interest rate should be higher than the inflation rate. Otherwise, it will be like banks are giving for free, they are giving for losses. Technically, let's say a bank is charging us 10% interest rate, okay, and the inflation rate of that country is 7%. So technically, bank is charging you only 3% because 7% is anyways taken by inflation. When you return the money to the bank, the value of that $100, for example, will not be the same when the bank lended you, right or wrong? Then on the top of that, that 3% profit. So usually when the inflation is very low, the interest rate will also be low. For example, in Germany was one of the best example where people have even seen deflation. Their prices were going down. So interest rate were 2%, 3%. So when interest rate changes, spending falls, Usually when interest rate increases, people might have less money, so spending will fall, asset value will fall. Foreign funds are attracted into the country. People want to do FD, fixed deposit, to get interest from the bank to earn. Exchange rate will rise. See, the value of the currency can go down. Inflation will fall. In fact, when inflation is increasing too much, government will increase the interest rate. Why? They want less money to be in circulation, so people will not buy much, and ultimately the prices of goods and services will be reduced, or at least not increase much. So this can affect, distorts consumer behavior, redistribute income. Let's say we have so much of saving, and currently the inflation becomes so high, so the value of currency will reduce. That was happening in Turkey recently. Every week they were seeing inflation. So in news I saw people are buying cars or anything that can be of the same value at least, because if they have cash in 1 week, the value is going by 10%, 20%. Affects wage bargainers, especially people who are on fixed. They have to definitely demand for higher salaries. That can affect companies' profit. Undermines business confidence. Anybody who want to invest in any country, even if Saefwell want to go to a new country, what is the first thing we look at? Industry? No, economic situation. And when you talk about economic situation, the pestle analysis come into place. Political, legal, that is very important. Do they have stable government? So the country's competitive position will go down. Why Dubai is one of the best choice for businessmen? Because they have a stable government. The investors have so much of confidence. The rules are also very flexible. Visa is easier, right? It can redistribute wealth also. Even we can kind of calculate the future interest rate based on the inflation. But anyways, that's not part of the syllabus. We'll touch this again when we are talking about transactions and translation this later on in chapter 8, 9, 10. All right. So that's it. The main aim of doing this chapter was to show you these three ratios. Out of these three ratios, whatever you can calculate. And apart from that, you have the ratios already done in the familiarization kit. But I request you to do on your own, so you'll remember. And after every ratio, you write what does it mean. Remember, our aim is to pass the exam, but not limited to that. You should have knowledge also. If you do this type of understanding and learning, no, whatever interview you give and everything, your answer will be very good. Your understanding will be next level. Most of my students who gave interview, they have given 100% answers. Why? Because of this case study method of learning. If you implement this, if you're going for any company's interview, you'll research like this. So if they ask you anything about the company, what you believe, and what's your point of view, your answer will be very practical. All right. Any questions?
No, fine for now.